At the dormitory entrance, I broke up with my childhood sweetheart, Jenny. She didn't even lift her head, just because I didn't go with you to that group dinner and went with him instead. Yes. She treated it as nothing more than me sulking, her fingers flying as she replied to messages from another man. I don't know what he sent her, but she hurriedly said goodbye to me. Before leaving, she didn't forget to sigh helplessly and speak to me in that indulgent tone I knew so well. Stop making a fuss. Go to bed early tonight. You have a military training activity tomorrow, a long-distance hike. I'll come and keep you company. She walked away without looking back, never seeing the farewell in my eyes. This childhood friends-turned-lovers relationship had reached its time to end. Chapter 1. I called my dad and told him I agreed to go abroad. I went to the off-campus apartment where Jenny lived and took all my belongings with me. Yet my mind couldn't help drifting back to yesterday. She had clearly promised to accompany me to the dormitory dinner, only to suddenly go missing. At the restaurant, under my roommate's suspicious and mocking gazes, I forced myself to keep calling her again and again. Jack, looks like your girlfriend doesn't care that much about you after all. A roommate who had never gotten along with me glanced at my awkward expression, his smile loaded with implication. Clenching my teeth, I said Jenny had an urgent matter to attend to. They burst out laughing, then pointed behind me, signaling for me to see for myself. I turned my head, and the scene before my eyes made my mind go completely blank. By the window, Jenny was sitting face to face with a boy. The boy carefully speared a piece of steak and fed it straight to her mouth. "Thank you so much for helping me, Senior," he said. "Otherwise, I really wouldn't know what to do." I was shaking with rage as I walked straight up to them. When Jenny saw me, her expression instantly softened. She took my hand and explained with a smile. "Thomas messed up today and got scolded badly by the instructor. He was feeling terrible, so I treated him to a meal to comfort him." After explaining, she coaxed me gently. "Babe, the dorm dinner isn't a one-time thing anyway. I'll go with you next time." Thomas, again. Thomas. Ever since she became the class assistant for our freshman year, this name had been mentioned by her countless times, without me noticing. He went from that unbelievably dumb freshman boy to Thomas, the junior, and now simply the intimate Thomas. I kept a stiff face, not even having time to speak before Thomas beat me to it, grinning as he greeted me. "Hi, Jack. It's all my fault for being so slow. Good thing Senior is willing to teach me so patiently." Looking at his carefully styled hair, still packed with gel even during military training, I couldn't help but sneer. "If you already know you're slow, maybe cut down the time you spend on your hairstyle and use it to actually practice. That way you wouldn't be the only freshman in the entire grade who can't even remember the moves." Thomas's smile froze instantly, his eyes reddening. Jenny snapped at me sharply. "Jack, how can you be so mean? Apologize to Thomas right now." Not giving her the chance to continue blaming me, I turned around and left. That night, I curled up on my bed, my roommate's sarcasm and cold mockery seeping through the bed curtains nonstop. My tears soaked the pillow despite my efforts. Suppressing the ache in my chest, I stubbornly clutched my phone, waiting for Jenny to come and comfort me. From childhood to now, no matter how we argued, we had never gone more than an hour without speaking. Jenny would always act cute and tease me until I laughed through my tears. But this time, her message never came. What came instead was a post from Thomas. "You stayed up so late practicing with me and even treated me to a drink. That was awesome." Attached was a photo of Jenny's beautiful side profile under dim lighting. I stared at the picture for a few seconds. The heart I had been wrestling with all night finally sank heavily, sinking into a bitterness that wouldn't disperse. Back then, all it took was Jenny saying, "Babe, I want to see you every day." For me to foolishly reject my parents' plan to send me abroad to study, determined to attend the same university as her. Even though this school and this major weren't what I liked at all, I naively believed that as long as I could be with Jenny day in and day out, everything would be worth it. I clenched my fists, feeling that my past choice wasn't worth it, and grieving for my own reckless devotion. A notification from the overseas study agency pulled me back to reality. In the empty room, head lowered, I methodically organized all the documents needed for studying abroad and sent them over. Chapter 2. In the evening, just as I finished packing my things, the apartment door was pushed open. Jenny came in laughing and joking with a few friends. Thomas was with them too. I heard his slightly embarrassed voice. "This is so humiliating. I didn't expect to step on a rock and accidentally fall into the lake. I got completely soaked. Good thing I left some clothes at Senior's place last time." Those two sentences felt like they instantly shoved me into an icy abyss, sending a chill through my entire body. This apartment was rented by Jenny because her schedule didn't match her roommates. I usually lived in the dorm and only came here occasionally. How could she let Thomas come here? She even let him leave clothes behind. They didn't know I was in the room and started chatting without restraint. Impressive. "Jenny, not only did Jack give up going abroad for you, Thomas admires you that much too. If you ask me, Jack is good looking. Sure, but his personality is too proud. He's really not as considerate and well-behaved as Thomas. They egged her on, telling Jenny she might as well dump me and get together with Thomas. Jenny didn't stop them at all. She just smiled faintly. Don't talk nonsense. I only see Thomas as a junior. That indulgent tone immediately drew a chorus of boos. TCH. Then why are you so close to your junior? Doesn't Jack make a fuss about it? Let him fuss. She scoffed. He loves me so much he even gave up going abroad. He won't break up with me. He'll throw a tantrum for a bit and then obediently lower his head. That scoff became the final straw that crushed my remaining rationality. Why did my sincere, unwavering devotion turn into something she bragged about? Something she used to control me? Amid their teasing about how she had men wrapped around her finger, I felt utterly humiliated, like a clown with reddened eyes. I rushed into the living room. The laughter stopped abruptly. I was just about to speak when I saw Thomas holding a ragdoll cat in his arms. My voice instantly carried an uncontrollable tremor. Who brought a cat in here? Take it out, now. I have asthma. Cat fur is a clear trigger. Jenny knew that too. Yet she still indulged Thomas and let him bring the cat over. Little Seven is a cat Thomas keeps in the dorm. The dorm supervisor has been checking more strictly lately, so I'm helping him take care of it for a while. Thomas smiled and stuffed the cat into my arms. Jack, do you want to hold it? It's really well behaved. The moment the long cat fur brushed against my cheek, my airway constricted violently, as if an invisible hand had clamped around my throat. Take it away. Like a fish stranded on shore, every breath I took came with searing pain. Driven by the instinct to survive, I used all my strength to shove forward. Thomas and the cat both fell to the ground, and I collapsed too, completely drained. How could you do that? Thomas put on a wronged expression. Aren't you just upset because Senior treated me to a meal? But Little Seven is innocent. His body trembled as Jenny's friends all spoke up for him. What's wrong with you as a boyfriend? Being petty is one thing, but bullying a classmate? You can even bring yourself to hurt such a cute little cat. I really don't know how Jenny put up with you for so many years. Their accusations made my breathing even more frantic. The suffocating sensation sent tears pouring out of my eyes. Humiliated and helpless, I reached out to Jenny. Medicine. Whenever my asthma flared up before, she would always be the first to shove the inhaler into my hand. She had even developed the habit of carrying it with her at all times. But now, she stood there with her arms crossed, making no move at all. Jack, you've gone a bit too far these past couple of days. Haven't you made enough trouble yet? Stop using this trick to control me every time. I've wanted to say this for a long time. Does your asthma really flare up that easily? After saying that, she didn't even look at me. She gently comforted the crying Thomas instead and said she would take the cat to the pet hospital for a checkup. I wanted to beg her to stay, but all that came out was a ridiculous wheezing sound. I could only watch helplessly as she walked away step by step. The apartment fell silent, leaving only the sound of my labored breathing. Gradually, as the oxygen in my chest was nearly exhausted, my consciousness began to blur. At that moment, a soft, fair little hand extended an inhaler toward me. Chapter 3. After my symptoms eased, I staggered back to the dorm and fell asleep with my head buried in the pillow. I told myself to endure a little longer. Once I got an offer from an overseas university, I could leave this place behind. When I woke up, all freshmen were required to assemble and head into the mountains for a long-distance hiking drill. Just as we set off, Jenny, who was accompanying the group as a member of the student union, stopped me. Move, I said coldly. Staring at her, she acted as if she hadn't heard me, just like countless times before, deftly snatching my backpack away. How could I bear to see my baby suffer? She said, just travel light. Leave the heavy stuff to me. That indulgent tone made it seem as if the unpleasantness of the past 2 days had never existed. After speaking, she even casually pinched my cheek, her eyes and brows full of smiling affection. With a stiff face, I tried to grab the backpack back, but it was useless. In frustration, I shook her off and strode forward. She smugly hugged the pure black backpack, Southwest out of place with her image, and hurried up beside me. All right, I'm apologizing. Okay. Such a light, careless sentence, as if it were enough to erase all the pain and grievance I'd felt yesterday. Looking at her putting on that pitiful act, in the past I would have immediately cracked, pulled her into my arms, and made up with her. But now, all I felt was disgust. How could she so casually flirt with 2 men at the same time and handle it so effortlessly? Why did she give Thomas the favoritism that used to belong only to me, and still have the nerve to stand in front of me asking for forgiveness? We've already broken up. I won't forgive you. After saying this coldly, I quickened my pace and walked away. She didn't chase after me again. The mountain path grew steeper underfoot, and the hiking group slowly advanced toward the summit. Just as I gritted my teeth and prepared to charge up the steep slope ahead, I heard a cry of alarm. At some point, Thomas, who had been walking ahead of me, suddenly slipped. His body tipped backward, and he fell straight toward me. Instinctively, I reached out to steady him, But Thomas took advantage of the moment and grabbed the corner of my clothes. Before I could react, I lost my balance too. The two of us crashed to the ground together. My palms instantly scraped bloody. Baby, are you okay? What happened? Jenny rushed over to me at once, looking at my bleeding palms with distress. Senior, it hurts so much. Thomas's weak cry beside us drew her attention. He clutched his ankle, eyes red, looking pitifully at Jenny, then quickly glanced at me, as if accusing me of something. Yet he said nothing, just silently endured it with tears in his eyes. Jenny immediately turned to me with blame, her voice laced with anger. Jack, it's one thing if you're sulking with me, but why would you deliberately make Thomas fall? Do you know how dangerous that is? I made him fall. The absurdity and grievance made my heart twist in pain, hundreds of times worse than the scrapes on my hands. Struggling to my feet, I raised my voice. He grabbed me. How did this suddenly become my fault? Thomas, why don't you explain it clearly? Faced with Jenny's questioning gaze, Thomas pressed his lips together like he'd been frightened, lowered his head, and stayed silent. That silence only made Jenny more convinced of her own conclusion. She looked at me with eyes full of disappointment and exhaustion. That's enough. Stop bullying him. Even if you're jealous, there should be a limit. I never thought you'd turn into this. After saying that, she carefully helped Thomas up and led him to a nearby flat area to rest. I stood there blankly, staring at her back, unbidden. A memory surfaced in my mind, back in high school, when I was falsely accused by another boy of stealing money. She had stood by my side without a shred of doubt. Baby, you don't need to explain anything. I'll always believe you unconditionally. So it turned out that everything had become the past. Chapter 4. After hiking non-stop for several hours, we finally reached the summit. After a brief rest, everyone began preparing to head back down. The blazing sun left my mouth dry and parched. My water bottle was still in the backpack, so I spotted Jenny in the crowd and asked her hoarsely to give it back to me. But the moment I pulled open the zipper, my heart sank. My water bottle was gone. Seeing my stunned expression, Jenny explained coldly. Thomas finished all his water, so I gave him yours. Just consider it an apology for making him fall. She paused for a moment, then softened her tone anyway. All right, he's not seriously hurt. I'm not blaming you anymore. Just don't do it again. I'll have him return the bottle to you now. Under the shade of a tree not far away, Thomas was holding my water bottle, taking small sips. So annoying. Climbing a mountain got my sneakers all dirty, he muttered, then casually poured most of the remaining water over his mud-stained shoes with a splash. What are you doing? I rushed over furiously to grab it. He yelped and let go. The bottle fell into the mud, completely empty. Fire practically shot from my eyes as I yelled at him. What's your problem? Using my drinking water to wash your shoes? Baby, calm down. Jenny followed after me, trying to soothe me, but I shoved her hard, making her stagger. I already told you his fall had nothing to do with me. Why should I apologize to him? What right do you have to give my things to him without asking? Who are you trying to play the saint for? My throat was so dry it felt like it was about to catch fire. Looking at my reddened eyes, Jenny sighed. Thomas just likes to keep things clean. He didn't do it on purpose. Don't be so petty. There's backup bottled water with the student union logistics team. I'll go get you some. Be good and wait here. With that, she hurried off in big strides. Thomas's eyes flickered, as if he was thinking about something, and he followed after her. The blood from the scrapes on my palms had already dried, leaving behind an unpleasant sticky sensation. After hours without a single drop of water, my vision had begun to darken around the edges. I could only sit down where I was to rest and wait for Jenny to bring water back. But after waiting a long time, long enough for the main group to start gathering and heading downhill, she still hadn't returned. With a dark expression, I took out my phone to contact her, only to see photos someone had posted in the freshman group chat. Even during a hiking drill, we still get forced to watch PDA shoved down our throats. Scrolling through the chat history, I finally learned that Thomas had suddenly felt dizzy from heat exhaustion. Jenny had immediately supported him. The two of them pressed closely together, and anxiously got into a car parked halfway up the mountain to leave early. Sadness and desolation overwhelmed me. The Jenny I had known for over a decade seemed to be gone. The version of her who could abandon me so casually now felt like a stranger. The sun burned overhead. Dizzy and lightheaded, I helplessly buried my head between my knees. If I passed out from dehydration later, who knew how long it would take before someone noticed, before they dragged me back? As I was lost in these chaotic thoughts, I suddenly heard a familiar voice beside my ear. Hey, the news says there'll be a Lyra meteor shower tonight. Want to watch it together? Chapter 5. I lifted my head in a daze and fell straight into a pair of deep, steady eyes. It was Francesca, one of Jenny's friends and the department beauty of their major. That day at Jenny's apartment, when everyone had been chattering away and mocking me, she had been the only one who spoke up for me. Her expression calm. If you already have a boyfriend but still keep things unclear with other men, that's your fault first. Does he not have the right to be angry? Those words instantly darkened Jenny's expression. The others hurried to smooth things over, but I remembered clearly the girl who had spoken up for me when my asthma attack was triggered by Thomas's cat. It was also Francesca who handed me the inhaler in time. While I was still spacing out, Francesca had already twisted open a bottle of mineral water and passed it to me. Drink slowly, don't choke. The cool water moistened my dry throat as I quietly studied the person in front of me. Jenny had complained more than once that this friend of hers was a cold, aloof ice queen, but after just a few minutes together, I felt that beneath the surface, she was actually gentle and considerate. I brought iodine and bandages. Francesca gestured for me to extend my hand and carefully began tending to the wound on my palm, her movements light and cautious, afraid of hurting me. Thank you, Senior, I said sincerely, then remembered what she had mentioned earlier. You said there's a meteor shower tonight. As my strength gradually returned, the heavy emotions that had been weighing on my heart dissipated. My eyes lit up. I've always wanted to see a meteor shower. And this time, it was the Lyra meteor shower. A year ago, when I had just entered my final year of high school, I had excitedly dragged Jenny, who was home for summer break, along with me. I'm going to make a wish. I wish I can get into the same university as you, and that we'll always be together. You believe that stuff? So silly. Jenny had patted my hand helplessly, then refused me on the excuse that she needed to entertain her college classmates. That night, disappointed, I stood alone on the rooftop for a long time. In the end, due to a sudden change in the weather, I didn't even get to see that meteor shower. I widened my eyes in shock. Among Jenny's college classmates back then, Francesca had been there too. Francesca laughed softly. I wasn't sure if it was my imagination, but a faint blush rose on her fair face. The weather will be good tonight. You'll definitely see the meteors, and I hope all your wishes come true. What I didn't know was that on that lost and desolate night a year ago, Francesca had been not far away. The boy's dejected, downcast silhouette had, without reason, slipped into her heart from that moment on. You must be starving. Want to eat something first? Francesca took out a few strips of jerky. Astonishingly, they were my favorite flavor. Seeing me accept them without hesitation and start eating, she curved her lips slightly and brought up another topic. I heard you're preparing to go abroad. Ever since I made up my mind to study overseas, I'd been busy requesting various certification documents from the department. I hadn't deliberately kept it secret. For someone as observant as Francesca, it wasn't surprising that she knew. What was laughable was that Jenny, my girlfriend, still had no idea. Which school are you applying to? Francesca asked again, a hint of anticipation creeping into her tone. After a brief pause, she explained that she would be a senior next year and was planning to go abroad for graduate school as well. Southwest. She paid close attention to these things. Naturally, we added each other on WeChat and agreed to share any useful information. Maybe one day we really would end up in the same country, even the same city, able to look out for each other in a foreign land. After chatting for a while, we both fell silent. Being with Francesca brought a strange sense of comfort. There was no need to rack my brain for topics. Even sitting in silence didn't feel awkward at all. We sat side by side on the mountaintop. The cool summer night breeze brushed past us, and above, the stars shone brilliantly. When the first meteor streaked dazzlingly across the night sky, I excitedly grabbed her hand, stood up, and clasped my palms together to make a wish. It was completely different from last year's. This time, it had nothing to do with Jenny. I wished only for myself, that I would become resilient and independent, and that my future would be bright and open. When I opened my eyes again, meteors were still streaking across the sky from time to time. I turned my head to look at the girl beside me. Her usually cool features were now unbelievably gentle. Her lashes were lowered, and a quiet shimmer flowed through her eyes. My heart stirred for no reason. I suddenly realized that in the past, my eyes had only ever seen Jenny. I had firmly believed she was the best girl in the world, so I suffered for her and grieved over her. But once I finally looked away, I discovered that there had always been better scenery right beside me. Chapter 6. After sending the overheated Thomas to the campus clinic, Jenny hurriedly comforted him with a few words and was eager to leave to look for me. I was still thirsty, still waiting on the mountain for a long time. She didn't want to disappoint me again. Just as she was about to turn and leave, Thomas suddenly reached out and grabbed her sleeve. Senior, could you stay and keep me company for a bit? He lowered his head weakly. My head is still spinning. Can you take me back to the dorm later? She had always enjoyed this feeling of being relied on, of being needed. But now, hearing Thomas's voice, Jenny irritably tugged at her long hair. For no reason, she thought of how I never acted like this. Even when I occasionally threw tantrums or acted willful, my core was always strong. Yes, that was exactly what she loved most about me. Resilient, independent, like a little son. How could she let her son feel sad and disappointed? The urge to see me grew stronger and stronger. She tried to brush Thomas off with an excuse so she could leave, but he wouldn't let go. Gathering his courage, he blurted out, Senior, actually. I really like you. I want to be with you. Jenny stepped back in shock, pulling away from him. Thomas, what are you saying? I have a boyfriend. Jack is my boyfriend. She hurriedly explained that from beginning to end, she had only ever liked me, and that Thomas had misunderstood everything. Senior, you're lying. Thomas's eyes seemed to well up with moisture. If you didn't like me, why would you ditch Jack at the group dinner and stay with me? Why would you practice with me until late at night and buy me drinks? You even let me go to your apartment. And you, stop talking. Jenny cut him off abruptly, her voice trembling at the end. Just what? Just feeling sorry for a boy who had just started college, so she kept softening and helping him, just enjoying the sense of superiority that came from his dependent gaze. But wasn't Jack also a freshman new to everything? He had come to this university for her, yet she had never truly cared about him, and now, he was still alone on the mountain, waiting for her to go back. Thomas's words struck Jenny like a heavy blow, jolting her awake. Only then did she realize how far she had crossed the line during this time. What happened before was my fault for making you misunderstand. From now on, don't come looking for me again. I'll also ask the counselor to replace me as class assistant. Jenny firmly brushed his hand away, dropped those words, and quickly left. She ignored Thomas's attempts to stop her. She had to find me immediately and sincerely apologize. It was fine. After all, I loved her so much, loved her enough to change the course of my life for her, to give up studying abroad. She was confident she could coax me back. Jenny reassured herself this way, feeling a bit more certain. She had just reached the school gate when she ran into the student union member responsible for checking attendance for the hiking drill. She took the sign-out sheet and glanced at it. My name was already written there, but it was clearly not my handwriting. What's going on? Where's Jack? She asked urgently. That student replied. Francesca said Jack is with her right now, so she asked us to sign out for him. Another student, unaware of Jenny's relationship with me, joked. They even said they're going to watch a meteor shower on the mountaintop tonight. Don't be fooled by how cold Francesca looks. She's actually pretty good at going after younger guys. Jenny felt all the blood in her body freeze. Under the puzzled gazes of the two students, she began calling me like crazy, only to realize she had already been blocked. She immediately turned to contact Francesca, also with no result. Just then, her phone rang. Jenny tapped it open in wild hope, only to see it was her mother calling. Mom, what is it? I'm really busy right now. She answered distractedly. Her mother's displeased voice came from the other end. I just wanted to ask whether you little brat, bullied Jack or not. How did I hear from his dad that he suddenly agreed to go abroad again? Growing more agitated as she spoke. I'm warning you, Jack is someone we watched grow up too. Your dad and I absolutely won't allow you to. Her mother continued talking non-stop, but Jenny could no longer hear a word. All that echoed in her mind was that sentence. He suddenly agreed to go abroad again. The hand holding her phone fell limply to her side. Chapter 7. I slept very well. Early the next morning, just as I walked out of the dorm building, I saw Jenny standing there, her eyes bloodshot. Baby, I'm sorry. Is your hand feeling better? Let me change the dressing for you. She reached out, trying to pull me into a forceful hug, but I took a step back, making her grab nothing but air. We've already broken up. Don't touch me, and don't call me baby. No, that was just something you said out of anger. Panic flickered across Jenny's face for a moment as she stubbornly corrected me. Do you think I don't know you? You're just overly jealous. You always get jealous. It's my fault. From now on I'll definitely keep my distance from other guys. I won't make you sad again. She was completely immersed in her own narrative, not listening to a single word I said. Disgusted, I tried to walk around her. She grabbed my wrist tightly. Why are you ignoring me? And why were you with Francesca last night? Why did Mom say you agreed to go abroad again? How could you make such a big decision without discussing it with me? Her reddened eyes locked onto the neatly bandaged gauze on my hand, her expression changing abruptly. The barrage of questions almost made me laugh in anger. She actually had the nerve to interrogate me like this. Jenny, I'm single now. I don't need to report anything to you. Before I could finish, Francesca appeared behind me and coolly brushed Jenny's hand aside. Sorry, excuse us. Then she stuffed the breakfast she'd brought straight into my hands. Jenny, Jack has already made himself very clear. He wants to break up with you. She waved her phone screen at Jenny. As a friend, I'd advise you to deal with your own mess first and stop clinging to him. It turned out that late last night, someone had exposed Thomas on the campus forum for repeatedly and deliberately inserting himself into other people's relationships back in high school. His reputation there had already been ruined long ago. No one expected him to pull the same tricks after entering college. As soon as the post went up, someone recognized him. Hey, isn't this the freshman who got heatstroke during the hiking drill and was helped into a car by a senior on the spot? The comment section exploded. Yeah, I saw them too, they were practically glued together. I even low-key shipped them back then. Who would have thought? Classmate, shipping everything will only ruin your brain. I know the girl who helped him, she clearly has a boyfriend. So this is what they mean by, flies only swarm cracked eggs. Plenty of freshmen from the military training jumped in to defend me. Speaking of that, during the mountain hike, that guy Thomas slipped on his own and even grabbed Jack, dragging him down with him. I was right next to them. He didn't get hurt at all and just kept playing the victim, making it look like Jack caused the fall. Jenny's pupils shrank sharply as she read through the comments. So she really had misunderstood me without even bothering to find out the truth. One comment after another. More and more evidence was pieced together, the confrontation at the restaurant after I caught Jenny and Thomas eating together. Thomas's not-so-subtle bragging posts, all of it was dumped into the thread. Thomas was labeled a male homewrecker, and Jenny was branded a cheating woman. Both of them became completely notorious on campus. Jenny's face turned pale. That's not how it is. I didn't cheat, I don't like him. But in the face of the endless stream of photos and videos, any explanation sounded feeble. Whether her behavior had crossed the line was obvious to anyone with eyes. She even tried to find Thomas to prove her innocence. But Thomas had already gone to the faculty office to apply for a leave of absence, hiding from the overwhelming backlash and the cold, cutting remarks that followed him everywhere on campus. Jenny didn't fare much better. She had always maintained the image of a warm, positive, reliable senior, both in her department and in the student union. Overnight, everything changed. She had to scramble to deal with the fallout, leaving her with no time to keep pestering me. And during that same period, I successfully received an offer from my dream school. In just a few days, I would be leaving. Thank you for your help, senior. Before I left, I treated Francesca to a meal to thank her. The cold on the outside, warm on the inside. Girl lowered her head a little awkwardly. It was nothing, really. She and Thomas had graduated from the same high school. The things Thomas had done were infuriating enough that even though she was a few years older, all it took was asking around among juniors she knew to learn the truth. Jack, you're truly outstanding. Francesca's eyes shone like stars as she looked at me, filled with admiration and encouragement. I wasn't some clueless boy new to love. After spending these days together, how could I not understand her feelings? Unlike Jenny, who wanted to bind me to her side even if it held back my future, Francesca only supported me in choosing the path I truly wanted, even if it meant an ocean between us, because she would work hard to walk toward me on her own. So, can you give me 1 year? Her eyes were full of hope. We looked at each other and smiled. All right, I said softly. I'll wait for you. Chapter 8. On the day I left the country, Francesca had an important competition to attend and didn't come to see me off. That was just fine. Both she and I had our own pace to follow. Jenny, however, skipped class and rushed to the airport, stopping me just before boarding. Baby, no. Jack. Her eyes were full of pleading. Can you not go? She choked up. We've been together for so many years. Can you really just let it all go? I smiled. If I don't let it go, then what? Should I keep enduring your blatant favoritism, watching you stand me up again and again for Thomas, and then shamelessly accuse me of being mean? Should I accept that you knew perfectly well I have asthma, yet still indulged Thomas in bringing a cat over, and when I was suffocating in despair, you abandoned me to take his cat to the pet hospital? Should I allow you to waste my water on him without permission, while I waited alone on the mountaintop until everyone was gone, only to find out you'd already left, supporting him as you walked away? Yes, I once thought letting go of this relationship would be incredibly hard. We had known each other since childhood. She was my first love. Loving her had long since seeped into my bones and become a habit. That was why her favoritism toward Thomas, her intimate closeness with him, hurt me the most, cutting straight through my heart. And yet, she had done all of it so naturally, so decisively, without a shred of hesitation. I stared steadily at Jenny's increasingly anguished expression. Her lips trembled as if she wanted to explain, yet no words came out. What could she even say? How could she possibly say anything? She had simply been too confident, so certain that since I had already chosen this university for her, I would never leave over something like this, even though she knew perfectly well that what she was doing would hurt me. I'm sorry. I really am sorry. Her face was dim, yet she still refused to give up. But are you really unwilling to give me even one chance to make it up to you? Are you really going to sentence me to death just like that? I shook my head. I gave you many chances. You never cherished a single one of them. Jenny, I really did like you a lot. Boarding time was approaching. I lightly pulled my suitcase forward, and I don't regret that moment when I once gave up studying abroad for you. But now, you're no longer worthy. You're not worthy anymore. Those words were like a basin of ice-cold water, extinguishing the last bit of light in her eyes. Only at this moment did Jenny finally understand that there was no future left between us. In other words, my future would no longer include her at all. All of this had been forged by her own arrogance and vanity. Behind me, it seemed there was the sound of sobbing, building from suppression into uncontrollable crying. Filled with anticipation, I walked step by step toward the boarding gate. I never looked back. Chapter 9. After a year abroad, I had made a group of good friends and was studying the major I truly loved. I was also reunited with Francesca, who successfully applied to the same university as me for her master's degree. Despite being apart for a full year, there was no sense of distance between us at all. We talked about many things, our studies, our lives, and the future, and it was through her that I learned what had happened to Jenny and Thomas. Thomas, who had taken a leave of absence and stayed at home, showed no remorse at all. Instead, he seduced a wealthy married woman. On the very first day after he returned to school, the enraged wife stormed in and caused such a scene that it went straight to the university president. The incident also exploded online, severely damaging the school's public image. The final outcome awaiting him was expulsion. As for Jenny, after I left, she drifted through her days in a daze. She quit the student union and lost all motivation to study. She stayed holed up in her small apartment, numbing herself with cigarettes and alcohol, sleeping by day and awake by night. Skipping classes became routine. By the end of the semester, what she received in return were failing grades across almost every subject, and an academic warning letter sent directly to her home, cautioning that if this continued, she would very likely be delayed in graduating. Jenny's parents were furious when they learned the truth, yet they couldn't persuade their dispirited daughter no matter what they tried. All they could do was watch helplessly as she continued to sink. She didn't write her graduation thesis, didn't attend her defense, didn't prepare for makeup exams. In the end, utterly disappointed, her father cut off her living expenses and decided to give up on her completely, choosing instead to invest his resources in properly raising Jenny's younger brother. With nowhere else to go, Jenny found a job at an internet cafe. Cigarettes and alcohol never left her hand. From a once pampered young lady, she became someone barely scraping by, drifting through life. Francesca sighed softly. I tried to talk to her. I also told her there was nothing between us. If she really wanted to win you back, she could have worked hard like I did and applied to this school. We could have competed fairly. I didn't say anything. The name, Jenny, along with those sweet and bittersweet memories, had shrunk into something very, very small, too small to stir any emotion in me anymore. Another summer night arrived. Unfortunately, it was cloudy tonight. There would be no meteors. I received a call from an unfamiliar number. Jack. The voice on the other end was familiar, yet strange. I had never heard Jenny sound so worn down before. If back then I had firmly rejected Thomas and gone with you to that dorm dinner, if back then I had kept all my favoritism just for you, then we'd definitely still be together now, wouldn't we? I would have seriously prepared for job applications, found a good job, and we would have had a happy little home. I coldly cut off her self-deceiving fantasy. There is no if. Jenny, you ended up like this because you chose to ruin yourself. It has nothing to do with me. There was no response from the other end for a long time. I didn't need one anyway. After hanging up, I continued walking forward. At the intersection ahead, a figure stood waiting for me, holding a bouquet of flowers. Jack. Under the thick night sky, Francesca's eyes shone brilliantly. I could clearly see my own reflection in her pupils. Can I be your girlfriend? The sky was still covered in clouds, but that dazzling meteor shower I once watched side by side with Francesca on the mountaintop had already illuminated my heart. Smiling, I opened my arms to her.